This program contains subject matter and language that may be disturbing to some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Savaged, unfiltered. Your host, Michael Gardner.
Hello.
How are you doing, sir? How's everything going?
Good. How's Florida these days?
Florida's good. It's starting to cool down a little bit. Feels nice, after a hot and unpleasant summer, but it's good.
I was going to say you had some weather a little while ago.
What's that?
You had some weather just a little while ago there.
Weather.
Weather, hurricane.
Oh, yeah. I was like, what the hell is he talking about? We always have weather. Yeah. That was, Bob, I got the whole end of it. I got the face, the two sides, the ass, and the legs. I mean, it literally came right over Central Florida. I live in Orlando, and we got really bad.
Dumbass. Well, hopefully you didn't get the ass first.
No, we got that last, but
we got that last. Okay, ass last. All right.
So I want to introduce you to my listeners.
Sure.
I see that you are a radio personality of a show called Static Radio.
Sure. Yeah, that's right. Go figure. Static Radio, staticradio.com. Got to do all the self-promotion, I guess.
Yeah. I see. I was checking you out, Bob, and I see that you are the longest running weekly audio program on the internet.
That's a bit of puffery, but possibly, yes. We started our show in January 1999 and have been doing a show every week since then.
Because I kind of did my homework. It says 1998. I guess that's when you guys were just getting in.
Well, I say January 1999 is the official date, but our first show we recorded was in November on Thanksgiving 1998 to do a couple of tests, and then we've been weekly ever since since January 1999.
Holy shit! I had to make sure, man. I was like, I hope he's not just putting in that, just for publicity and shits and giggles. So I mean, this is a real thing. That's
oh no, yeah, it's good. Real. It's a real deal. Yeah. We the idea came during 1998, and so much has changed over time here. But yeah, I finally put that out there just like I don't know within the last 6 months or something. I'm like, maybe I should put this on here somewhere because no one, a lot of times people don't believe you. You say something like that and they're like, you're full of shit. What do you mean you've been doing this since nobody was doing anything in 1999? What the fuck are you talking about? And I'm like, yeah, we were doing stuff.
Yeah. I mean, you got to remember, folks, I mean, this is back in, terrestrial radio era, before podcasting and all that.
Yeah. Way before podcasting. Yeah. And it was, there was not a lot going on. And it basically is just a continuation. My co-host Miles and I, we used to do a radio show in college. We graduated college. And in the subsequent few years after graduating college, I'm like, we had a lot of fun. And it would really be nice if we could continue doing that. And I have an idea. And Miles is not a technologically savvy type person. I said, don't worry about it. I'll take care of that. Just be available, and we'll do what we used to do, which we used to do a show with music. And then in between songs, we would, chat about things and do silly things. And at that time, Napster was a big thing in the news back in those days. And so we couldn't do the songs because everybody was getting sued. Grandmas were getting sued and everybody was getting sued for downloading music. Or playing music on the internet. And I said, well, we'll just do the funny stuff. And so that's where it all began. And basically we've been doing kind of the same format since the very first shows. So, we kind of tell stories and be funny.
Yeah, so you've been pretty much doing the same shit since '99 then.
I've been doing the same shit longer than that, but yeah, it's pretty much the same shit that's getting recorded. Yeah.
Yeah, now you just now that obviously, I guess you guys have branched over to the podcasting world where you're allowed to say more things on air, rather than the FCC, hitting that hammer at you, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, everything. So yeah, everything. Thing about podcasting was, whenever Adam Curry was doing Daily Source Code prior to podcasting becoming a reality, I was listening to that and actually had interactions via email with him about it, and that's how. So we were kind of out front for that because of I just happened to be listening to Adam Curry at that time, and I said, "This sounds interesting. What do we do?" And then he sent me back information and so forth. And it used to be a thing called Adam Curry used to have like it was at first the top 50 podcasts, the first 50 or whatever you want to call it. And then there was the 100, and then he did on, and then he stopped it at some point. But anyway, we were in the first 50. So the interesting thing is that we were on iTunes before whenever podcasting became a thing, because they stole Adam Curry's list. So they took his list, and everybody who was on that list was on iTunes. And so I didn't even know it until after the fact. I found out through somebody else that said, "Hey, did you know you're on iTunes?" I'm like, "I don't know." And and I'm like, yeah, and I kind of did a little detective work, and basically I looked through it, and there was the same people, and so I thought that was kind of interesting. I don't know that if he had a deal with them or what the deal, what the interesting part of it was.
I remember iTunes. I mean, that was pretty much the beginning roots of podcasting, before Spotify took over, and, now it's Amazon Music and iHeartRadio, which, I mean, that's, if you can get on those platforms, you're pretty much in the golden goose, pretty much of the industry.
Yeah, and I think at this point we're on pretty much all. I was looking at your thing, and I see you're on some things I've never even heard of called something like Chatcast or Chat something, and I'm like, I wonder what that is. I'll have to check it out.
Bob, we're on so many fucking platforms now. When people are like, "How can we find you, Michael?" I'm like, "Dude, just Google search the show. Yeah. We'll come up on like 12 or 15 fucking platforms." Man.
Yeah. And they grab it. I just got a thing. There's this thing called Wisdom. Have you heard of this yet?
Wisdom. Now that's a new. Yeah, I've heard of that. It's in the developing beta stages of it. Yeah.
Yeah. They sent me an email and said, join Wisdom. We'll give you a badge or something. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. And so that just came about just like I think 2 weeks ago. So anyway, everything just happens. It all just happens,
So did you get your badge, Bob?
I did. Yeah. Look up. I couldn't even tell you. I think it's only on an app, Wisdom app. I have the Wisdom app. And if you look up Static Radio, I think it's under Static, or I don't know if it's under I don't think it's under my name. I think it's under Static Radio. So if you, they're playing. Sorry. Now Ashley's talking on Wisdom. I apologize. But yeah, you just look up Static Radio on Wisdom if you get the Wisdom app, and it's a lot of stuff out there. But I'm not pushing Wisdom. It just happened. We're talking stuff here, so
yeah, I hear you. So tell me a little bit more about the Static Radio. Like, who was the person that came up with that name?
Oh, but we've kept it because I think. Now, I'm sure if Miles were here, he would argue with me, but I think I came up with the name back in college. So back in college, I was worked at the college radio station and was a promotions person. And I said, I really want to do a show, but I don't want to do a show like everybody else is doing, which everybody was doing. They play their records, they have some fun, And I'm like, I want to talk a little bit and do some, kind of bits and funny stuff and be goofy. And
yeah, what's
so I didn't want to do the regular stuff.
Yeah, what's funny? I mean, you come from that same era of that on-air, kind of comical, act of like Howard Stern and others in that era.
Exactly.
So I find that very, very fascinating. Is that some of like? Did you? I mean, obviously everybody heard of Howard Stern. I'm sure you've listened to Howard Stern, before when he was on terrestrial, before he went over to Sirius. Is that some of the, ideas that led you to static radio, or you pretty much just did something on your own?
I would say a little bit. I did not listen to Howard Stern until, oddly enough, after I had started doing the show, because he wasn't he wasn't on terrestrial radio where I was at. So he was in New York, and I would hear stuff, actually via the internet, even back then. But not on a regular basis. Not until I was out of college and working, he came to the St. Louis market where I'm at, and I would listen to him in the mornings. But we had already started doing the show, but I knew all about that. And other people, like I was, oddly enough, the weird thing is I'm grew up in downstate Illinois in the cornfields, but I would listen to WLS when I was young. So much younger. So it'd be Steve and Gary, if you have an idea of who those guys were. And
it's time.
We've got a global fan event to launch.
Drum roll, please.
Are you ready for Tudum? Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Today I get to share a special gift.
It's happening.
Coming at you right now.
Tudum is back.
Let's reveal some steamy secrets, shall we?
I'm very excited for you guys to see it.
I'll meet you there. Check out the news you've been waiting for.
Get ready for some action.
Bonjour, Tudum.
It's time.
Chegou a hora.
Let me tell you what you're about to witness.
I'm so excited to introduce my new movie.
A lot of blood, sweat, and tears went into making this.
Here's a sneak peek behind the scenes.
It's very exciting,
Yes.
Hola, hola.
Thanks for joining us.
Let's get down to business. It's happening.
It's magical.
Se viene, gente. Se viene.
I'm into it, babe. I'm into it.
Go time.
Take it away.
Get ready to have your world turned upside down.
I'm ready. Are you ready?
Ready.
Ready.
Because we're sounding the alarm. In 5,
4, 3,
2, 1. Positions, everyone.
We got this. Right?
Savaged, unfiltered.
John Record Landecker and people like that out of WLS in Chicago, but you couldn't get it every day. So it would just be happenstance and weather and a lot of different factors if you could actually listen to WLS down south in Illinois. But those with Steve and Gary would probably be a big influence. And, they're, probably all both dead at this point. I have no idea, but this kind of kooky stuff. And we mostly tell stories based on things that happen in our lives. So, we go out in the world and shit happens. And
I see you label yourself as like the Midwest guy with an affinity for
telling Midwestern, That's why you did.
She goes, well, I don't expect you to understand. You're from the South. I said, woman, I'm about to teach you how to pluck a chicken.
That's why you didn't catch you had a bit of weather. That's kind of, I think, a Midwesternism for having a storm or something. You don't go, God, you had a fucking hurricane. You go, oh, you had a bit of weather there, did you? And
we're due for one more, Bob. I think there's another one. But God, I hope it fucking misses this and hits New York.
Well, you get a bit more weather.
What's that?
Get a bit more weather. There you go.
Yeah. Well, I hope it goes up to New York. I mean, I wouldn't mind it because I originally live in New York, and thank God I don't live in that city anymore. But oh boy, I don't think I can afford to live up there anymore. It's so expensive.
Yeah.
I have friends that are crying like, "Oh, we gotta move. I'm like, then fucking move. What the fuck are you paying $4,000 for an apartment that it's no bigger than a freaking average Motel 6 or something,
Yeah, really. It's crazy expensive out there, isn't it?
So I see something here because I was checking you out. I always check people out, to get my homework correct and all that. You guys have a lot of on-air personalities. I know that you guys have a big team, behind the static radio.
No, not at all.
No. Well,
No.
what the hell am I reading? I'm reading
I don't know,
something.
maybe you're reading a different Static Radio. It's just me and Miles. That's it.
Oh, I thought there was a couple more people below them. But anyways.
No, sorry. But the thing about the horrible thing about the name is, there's a couple of different Static Radio monikers out there. And there's even a band in New Jersey called Static Radio. And
probably that's what it was.
I got to yell. They hate me. They hate me because I got all the URLs and a lot of the social network Static Radio names.
Well, bear with me, Bob. I'm going to yell at producer.
Problem.
You gave me the wrong fucking notation, producer McKenzie, but it's all right. Love you. But there is a song.
Don't worry about it. It's fine.
Nah, it's all right. Yeah, don't worry about it, like the Italians used to say. Yeah. There's a song that I do know. It's called Manny the Mailman and Mike.
Yeah, Manny the Mailman and Mike. Yeah, they wrote a song for us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Their name was Miles and Bob, a couple Midwestern slobs. They do a show called Static Radio every week. Them boys are freaks. Complaining about their lives, bitching about their wives. Bob also does a show about his morning drive. They're so cheap.
How the fuck did they come up with that?
I don't know. So, these are all real people. So, I've actually met Manny the Mailman, and Mike I met Mike as well. Oddly enough, they came through St. Louis one time, and I went and had lunch with them. But these are people that listen to the show over the years, and so Mike, I think, is a bit musical, and Mike wrote this little tune, and Manny he sang it. Man, they're from New Jersey, and they come up with this little thing that they sang. And we've got a couple of people that wrote different little songs about things. And
sound Jewish.
Put them out there.
Manny sounds like he's Jewish. Is he Jewish or?
No, he's Italian.
Oh, okay.
All right. He's Italian. But he is a man, and he's been a listener for quite some time. And like I say, he happened to be in him and Mike were doing the tour of baseball stadiums, and they came down to the Busch Stadium here in St. Louis one time, and I caught up with them, and we hung out for a day down here in St. Louis. But yeah, he's just a guy, and I would have never met him or been connected to him at all if he hadn't listened. And so it was kind of cool. We're kind of you like yourself. You put something out there, and you just never know who you're going to connect with. And
yeah, I've seen so many different types of radio personalities, comedians over the years. Because I've been doing this for 20 years. I've been in radio for 20 years. I started off as a tech guy up in New York. Kind of behind the scenes, working for 92.3 K Rock and a few other college stations up there way back in the day, and they don't even freaking exist anymore. But that's how I got my start, and over the years, I'm like, what the hell am I doing? Shuffling wires all damn day. I got to get on the radio. And just thought about it like 3 years ago, and I'm like, okay, let me see what I can do. And I'm going through like different networks, and some of these networks, Bob, they want like hundreds of thousands of dollars just to start. I'm like, there's got to be some fucking network out there where I can do it.
Mm-hmm.
I came across Anchor FM, and I'm like, I'm looking at some friends of mine that, started doing it, on YouTube before, podcasting pretty much got its peak of where it's at now. And I'm like, guys, you ever heard of Anchor FM? And they're like, no, what the fuck is Anchor FM? And I'm like, I don't know. It's this podcasting network. So I looked into it, and I started off like pretty much doing it from like my kitchen table like 3 years ago. And then it blossomed into like the show it is now, where, little by little, I started adding some more stuff to it and different things. And, we just kind of went along with it. And I got to tell you, Bob, we went through 3 fucking names to where we are now.
Okay.
The first name, it did not work with us at all. It sounded like a 5-year-old came up with it. The Kitchen Angle podcast.
No.
Scratch that idea. That sucks. Then we went to the Patriot Angle podcast, and I'm a conservative guy. I like, I believe in conservatism and the pretty much the demeanor of the American spirit. And where my podcasting was going, earlier this year, where it really, really got its headway. I'm like, I'm starting to get some more people on this show. Some of them are not so conservative and patriotic. Some of them are just straight up assholes, and some people are just crazy. So I had to come up with a name to fit the title. So I put Savaged. And I had a gentleman on the show not too long ago. He's like, Savage, you think you're going to get some shit, with the guy, Michael Savage. I was like, I've heard of Michael Savage. I've been listening to Michael Savage for like the last 5-6 years. I was like, I don't think Michael Savage is going to be upset. I think when he passes away, he's actually going to be happy that somebody can continue that type of demeanor on the air.
Sure.
But we put the D at the end of Savage, so just in case he does get upset, you know what I mean?
Right, yeah. Keep it out of the courts.
Yeah. I don't need any lawsuits. Everybody's getting sued every day now in this country, and that's everybody's offended by everything, and they're turning into little snowflakes. Everything you say, they get upset. Oh, you said something. Go have a lollipop. Get the hell away from me. That's what I said.
Actually, I have heard of Michael Savage. Okay, I just looked him up here because I'm like, I know that name. All right, got it.
Yeah, when he was on terrestrial radio, he started off as the Savage Nation.
Mm-hmm.
He was actually in your neck of the woods. He did broadcast in St. Louis, right? You said you're from St. Louis, right?
Yeah, St. Louis. So he probably was at KTRS or K-Fan or one of them.
Michael Gardner, uncut, raw, uncensored.
Yeah, I think it was KTS. Yeah,
KTRS. Yeah.
Yeah, KTRS. Yeah. Now he just broadcasts this out of his comforts of his home, which a lot of people are doing that. They're turning a spare bedroom into like a studio, put a couple of soundproof panels on the wall, try to cancel out that echo and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And it's working for them. So hey, if it works, it works.
Yeah, it works. No, you should. Everybody should do something there.
Hey, if you got content and you can develop into a character on the air, I say go for it. If it doesn't work, hey, at least you tried, right?
Yeah, at least you did something. Do something creative. Why not?
You did something creative. Some people do political podcasts, some people do sports. I mean, I like to do everything. I just had a compliment come in the other day. Someone like, "Oh, we look at you like as another version of Joe Rogan." I'm like, "Oh, I don't think I could fit his shoes, but thank you."
Oh yeah, you can fill his shoes. Come on, what's Joe Rogan doing that you're not doing? Come on, he's just got a name. He's just lucky that he came into it at a certain time with a certain cachet, and part of it's talent, but part of
he's got to thank Dana White. I mean, some of his fame came out of UFC, so.
Right, yeah. And then he did Fear Factor, and he was on radio and stuff like that.
I forgot that he was in Fear Factor. I always forget that.
I would always say Fear Factor may be the biggest. From my point of view, at least, everybody has the different point of view, but I'd say Fear Factor because it seems like his audience is very similar to the Fear Factor audience of that day. I mean, there maybe still be younger folks. I'm not sure, but my guess is a lot of it came from that because it's it was a pretty far-reaching show and it got talked about a lot because of how gross it was and everybody wanted to talk about it when it was on about eating disgusting things or people would get hurt and they'd start getting sued and there was always news about Fear Factor and then it wasn't necessarily about him. He was just tangential to it. But he was the host, so he was the face.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I said, I follow him. He's pretty good. He's got a good following on.
Crazy.
I mean, crazy amount of following. I just read this was an article. It's old news, but I mean, it's probably going back like maybe 4 or 5 months ago where Rumble. You know what Rumble is, right? You familiar with the Rumble app?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Rumble was going to offer him $500 million to take his show right over to Rumble and do live stream Rumble. And he was like, no, I'm loyal to Spotify. I'm thinking to myself, dude, they just fucking offered you $500 million and you're going to turn it down?
I think Spotify gave him 300, didn't they already? Or it's in the contract for however many years he's hooked in. But yeah.
Well, he's exclusive to Spotify. I mean, if you look at his shows, you see that label. I mean, paint it right on the episode posters where it says exclusive Spotify episode. So I don't think he wants to fuck around with Spotify. They've been good time ever since,
That's bird in the hand right there. He's good. That money's good. That good. I'm sure there's some kind of stipulation in the. They say 500 million, but how does it show up? When does it show up? It may be
show me the money
5 years and you get 10 million now, and then if you make it through the 5 years you get 500 million in total, but who knows. Not that I would turn it down, just saying.
No, I wouldn't turn it down either, Bob. I mean, fucking Spotify says, oh, well, we'll give you so much, you want to take it? I'm like, yeah, but you're not gonna make my show scripted, right? I can't stand that shit, Bob. Like, how do you feel, since I'm talking to a fellow radio personality such as yourself? Like, how do you feel with scripted material? Are you into that?
I don't like to be this. Everything that comes out of my head comes out of my head. So it's not, I mean, you may have a thought and you say, hey, this would be good, and you kind of noodle it before you say it. But no, I'm not much on scripting, just because I think it sounds so ingenuine. And I think as part of being able to connect to people via the media here that we're utilizing the medium, then you kind of need to be fairly genuine. And so whenever things come out of your mouth, they need to sound like they're coming out of your mouth, not out of somebody else's head through your mouth. So
you want to sound like you're real and genuine, and you're not reading off of a teleprompter, and you're not sounding like this like a robot. Like, who the hell's going to listen to that shit?
Right? They want to. Everything needs to be kind of freewheeling, and it comes with its dangers, but you deal with that. That's the part that you have to kind of that's your craft right there. You master how you say things. So
pretty much, going back to Spotify here. I don't know if you knew, but the program that we broadcast off here, Anchor FM, it is a company of Spotify. Spotify.
Oh, really? Anchor. They own that? It's like Amazon affiliated company kind of thing, huh? Cool.
Pretty much, yeah. Anchor FM was bought by Spotify, I believe, like about a few years ago, like 4 or 5 years ago. Because like I said earlier in the show, I didn't even know what the hell Anchor FM was. It was like, okay, I thought it was like some kind of like little thing like for kids, like, oh, let's record something and put it on the internet. Like, I didn't think it was an actual like, a well, designed company. And there's a lot of personalities on here that use Anchor FM.
I gotta look in. I have the app on my phone. I'm opening it up right now.
Yeah, I would strongly suggest. I mean, it's what do they call that shit? Back in the day, we used to call like platforms like this, base platforms, just to get a broadcast in, and then download obviously the audio or video to it, and go in the editing room and do the magic and stuff like that. That's what we used to call it back in the day, like a base platform.
Yeah,
but that's what we use. We use it like, as a base platform, because come January, Bob, we're going right over to fucking video. I love audio. Don't get me wrong. I love audio, but I mean, video is where it's at right now, I think.
Yeah. Everything's heading in that direction. I know it's just kind of the way things are trending, and it's gotten easier for people to do because of the advancements of your phone and everything. So it's not like the barrier to entry is not as high as it used to be. We've done stuff on YouTube here and there. We actually did back in the 90s, the late 90s, 99 or whatever, we did several basically little documentary things on events that Miles would actually go. I'm not much for going out and to events, but he enjoys that, and he would go out to events and he did interviews and did things like that. And we put those out on the website initially. At that time, they've been on YouTube since since it became something back in 2005. But we'll have to get back to that. We may have to do more of that kind of stuff because that's where everything's trending. So
I remember back in 05, that was popular, with those little they called them shorts. Do they still have the shorts? I don't know.
YouTube's pushing shorts again now. Yeah, it used to be, when YouTube first came on, you only could do 10 minutes. And so basically I just said, we're doing a 10-minute piece, and he would be like, yeah, I'm going to go out and do a tattoo festival and shoot some stuff. Like, great, go shoot some stuff, tattoo festival. I would edit it and put it together, and I hit that 10-minute mark, which was as much as you could upload at that point in time. And so then all these little things are 10 minutes. We got a video. He interviewed the Lizard Man. You know the Lizard Man at all? He was on the Ripley's Believe It or Not stuff a lot. He's modified his body to look like a lizard.
It almost sounds like either a Howard Stern or a Bubba the Love Sponge personality.
He's a real nice guy. He tattooed all over his head, and he had these implants, and he's filed his teeth down. But in talking to him, I didn't talk to him. Miles talked to him. But anyway, Miles talking to him, it's a nice interview, and he seems like a real nice guy. When you look at him and so forth, you probably think he's probably pretty wild, but he seemed like a fairly down to earth kind of guy. But he just did all this body modification when he was young, and he's become this pseudo body modification celebrity. And he would go around. He was at this festival, and he just goes as himself. I'm the Lizard Man.
Yeah,
it's wild.
Hey,
he's a real nice guy, though. He did that.
Right? I mean,
yeah, when people would buy books, he was on the cover of Ripley's Believe It or Not book for the more than once. I know because I remember seeing it.
I thought I seen him not too long ago. This was probably like a couple of years ago, right? At Ripley's Believe It or Not, there was a special event that they had on International Drive in Orlando here.
Yeah.
And I believe I seen him there. He's if this is the right guy, he's kind of like heavy set a little bit, maybe like kind of medium
maybe
set.
Now. Yeah. I haven't followed him since, but he was not a big guy, but he's gotten, this has probably been 20 some years ago. So he probably has. He's an older guy now. So he probably is heavy set now.
He is much older. There was like a conference thing over at the Orlando, wasn't the Civic Center. It was the big, shit. What the fuck is the name of that place? It's right on I-Drive. They do like a lot of like Comic-Cons there, and I think he was over there too as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's his real name's Eric Sprague. I didn't know this. He was born in 72, so he's getting, a little bit older. And he was on the Ripley's Believe It or Not television show several times, and then a bunch of different stuff. And
yeah, I gotta check him out. Maybe I can check him out. He's still alive, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I gotta reach out to him.
He's 50, so yeah. They have the picture they have is of him when he was younger that I see here on the wiki.
Okay.
He was involved with Jim Rose Sideshow Circus. If you've ever seen that before.
Yeah, I seen some of that work. Yeah, but that's YouTube. I wish fucking Bob. They banned me off of YouTube. I'm not allowed to express anything.
How do you get banned off of YouTube?
I got the fucking red flag. They
what
were like,
what are you doing on the YouTube here?
I wasn't doing anything stupid. I wasn't having like naked girls on my show or nothing like that. I was just stating stuff on my show, and now you know, Bob. I mean, you're a radio guy. If we say the wrong thing,
I
the
guess.
fact checkers come out and they get on their computer and they have to fact check you, and you're saying this, and
wow.
This all, yeah, Bob. This all came down, when we had to go through the pandemic, which I've been saying on my months and months. It was a plandemic, and you can't say anything about the movie or they're going to shadow ban you,
Don't tell me some of your thoughts on the pandemic. I've got a few thoughts on it myself. So you say a plandemic, and what do you think the plan was? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, we can go back to the last election, right? We can go into, how Trump and Biden were, going square and square like it was a fucking boxing event or something. And, right as Trump was campaigning for his reelection, right? That's when we started, getting introduced to this COVID-19 nonsense.
Right, right.
Wear a mask. I mean, you remember, right? You had.
I remember vividly.
Doctor, freaking hyping it up like it was like an infomercial or something. You got to wear your mask, and now you have to wear 2 masks, and I highly suggest you wear 3 masks, and social, and don't make sure you wash your hands. I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, is this guy really for real? And fast forward, I don't know, man. Half the stuff that came out of the CDC, half of it was just questionable, really questionable, because half the stuff that they used then, a lot of the tactics were done, during the Reagan administration when Dr. Fauci was still ahead of the CDC in the 80s with the AIDS epidemic. Right. So a lot of the shit that they used in the 80s to hype the AIDS up in the 80s, they did the same shit with COVID. So I've been telling people for months, I was like, this is all a publicity thing. Science hasn't changed, folks, in the last 2,000 years. There's always been viruses and diseases. They just mutate. This is, in my own personal opinion, Bob, this is nothing but the flu or the cold, and they just slapped COVID on it, just for publicity, to get the mean guy, the orange man out of office, the guy that tweets at 3 o'clock in the morning because they don't like him, for the senior citizen president that we have now that should have never been voted in.
Savaged, unfiltered.
And that's what it is. Yeah.
I don't get the Biden thing. I mean, everybody cries, we don't want another white man, old white man as the president, and then they all elect an old white man. Go figure. Whatever. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, you've heard it too, right? Everybody says, "Oh, we don't want another old white guy," and then the next thing you do, old white guy right in there.
Did you see the other day? He just made a comment on his social media and came out. I think he was on Fox or something. And he's like, I know I can beat him again in 2024 if it comes down to it. I'm like, how
hell is he going to be?
Well, he's 80. He just turned 80 the other day.
Yeah. Okay. Good luck.
Listen to this, right? The man can barely read a teleprompter, and he's saying on national television that he knows. He doesn't think, but he knows that he can beat Donald Trump in 2024.
Oh, you know what? No doubt he probably could, but you're right. It's insane. People, I always say, people, and I'm let me put this statement out there before I say this, so people can take it however they want to. But I am vehemently independent on politics. I think both sides are totally corrupt, and the system is corrupt, and we need something else. Is my personal thoughts on this. And I rarely talk about this, on a show or anything. I talk about more, humorous things, but I think that Biden is it's laughable that he can get elected. Just as laughable as one side thinks it's laughable that Trump can get elected. It's just as laughable that Biden gets elected, because they're both just part of the system.
You look at the last 2 years. I cannot think of a period in American history where one administration has done more damage to the United States than Joe Biden in the last 2 years. Everything they have touched has gone to garbage.
From anybody who has any normalcy in their lives. And, you know, it's pathetic, really, because you listen to everything and, you know, like I said, if you were to kind of read the polls and everything, most people don't want an old white guy as president. Most people, right? It is stated, it is out there. If you do the statistics, it'll be out there. And yet he's the president. So how can this be? Oh, well, it's the lesser of two evils, right?
Well, here's the thing.
Why is there only two evils? Why isn't there 10 evils? You know what I mean? Why can't it be the lesser of 10 evils?
Here's the thing.
Because people are stupid.
Yeah, I mean, you painted. But here's the thing. You just said something. No one wants an old man as a president. It may have worked during possibly Jimmy Carter's era, you know, because he, you know, somewhat what is that? Dementia. Thank you, Mackenzie. Yeah, he might have like forms of dementia, you know, like he is showing. That may have worked during the Carter administration where they felt bad for him. Like, oh, we feel bad for Carter because he's an old man and this and that. Mm-hmm. Joe, we're in 2022 now. I mean, people don't want that. They don't want that weak mentality, especially in today's era where we have countries that are ready to blow each other up with nuclear weapons.
Well, but I'm gonna play a little bit of devil's advocate on you there. I don't think anybody wants to blow up anybody. I think it's all a show. You're watching the show. So? I think Russia's a show. Ukraine's a show. It's all a show. Yeah. And because if they want to blow anybody up, it can happen. It can happen. There's nothing stopping anyone from hurting anybody else in this world other than not profitable.
You know, Bob, I said this the other going back a couple weeks ago on this. I was on a liberal podcast, which sometimes if I go on a liberal podcast, I'm going to let you know. I'm going to tell my listeners right now.
Yeah.
I go on a liberal. I have a thing of like tequila, Jack Daniels, or a few cans of beer on standby because some of the rhetoric that comes out of these people's mouths, I'm like, what the fuck were they thinking about saying that for? You know, I was on this liberal show, which I'm not going to plug because he's an idiot. And I only plug in people that I absolutely think that deserve the floor. But this guy was like, do you think that Putin is going to blow up Ukraine and this and that? I'm like, no, I don't think it's that at all. I think Putin, if he wanted to blow up Ukraine, he has the power to do it. You got to remember, guys, this guy is a former intel officer turned president. He's a very highly intelligent man. He knows his shit. So if he wanted to wipe out Ukraine, he can do it with a snap of a finger, you know? But I don't think it comes down to that, Bob. I don't think it comes down to that, folks. I think it comes down to a supremacy issue. Putin wants the bigger stick in the battle, right? And that's what it comes down to. He wants to say that I'm Putin and I'm hot shit and you're not. That's what it comes down to.
And somewhat I agree with you on that. I think that there is some aspect to that, but I think that it's all driven by money, by control, by money, more control than money. Let's put it that way. But money is a close second to control. And so I think what happens is that everybody, they're always goose the economy, right? And a good way to goose the economy is to have a conflict, right?
Oh yeah.
And it does two things, more than two things, but two major things. So you goose the economy with a conflict, and you give something for everyone to worry about. So they're not worrying about inflation, then everybody charging you more money. I don't know if you just recently this happened, but because we mentioned it earlier, the hurricane in Florida made everyone's insurance rates go up. Everyone in the United States insurance rates went up because there was a hurricane in Florida. And my wife actually questioned this and said, why are the rates going up? Well, because of inflation and because there's more money going out. So the weird thing is, and I know we're kind of, the insurance has nothing to do with Putin. But anyway, this all kind of connects in the sense of money because they want to keep making the same amount of money. In order to make the same amount of money, they got to raise your rates, right? And so, but everybody's worried about the Ukraine. It's a big show because they want you to be focused on, wag the dog, whatever you want to call it. They want you to be focused on something other than the fact that you're still being taken advantage of in your daily life. They need to be over there. What's that?
You know what it's called? It's called a diversion agenda.
There you go, diversion, yeah.
Yes. We used to use that term very, very loosely back in the day. It's a diversion agenda. They want you to be, they want you to have that delusion, like this is this and that's that, and everything else. And that's what you see in today's society, right? With this woke agenda, this sick garbage, this transgender nonsense that's going on in schools, which I think is disgusting. All this crap, and that's what they want you to do. They want you to feel deluded, from society, pretty much.
I think you get into all those areas as well. I think your average person, whatever your political bent is, doesn't give a crap what anybody else is doing, as long as whatever they're doing is not having a negative impact on them. So you want to be a woman who's a guy who dresses like a woman, whatever you want to do, you can do. Nobody really cares as long as it doesn't impact their lives. They bring all these things forward to kind of get, and they push this out into the media and so forth to get people kind of heated up. But I think in reality, I mean, it's happened forever. It's not unusual to have people who feel this way and to be out in this world. There was actually my son was telling me this, and I don't know, he reads a lot, but anyway, he was saying Native Americans had another gender. So there was male, female, and another gender back before any of us were here in America. They had another gender, and it was recognized, and it was no big deal. So people would be male, female, and something else. I can't remember what he told me the word, but I can't remember now. And it was not, it wasn't necessarily severely. I mean, obviously there was probably some negative aspects to it because just like, if you say you're Republican or a Democrat, there's can be negative aspects. No matter how you split it, there's always a negative aspect for being one or the other. It wasn't as if it was something that was not known until today. This is something that has been around for thousands of years, and it's not. Like I said, I'm not pushing for this. I'm just saying that most people, because you're talking about, such a small percentage of society who are this way. Most people don't even care. The only reason that they care about it is because somebody's standing on a soapbox somewhere yelling it to the sky, and then now it's impacting them.
Yeah, it comes down for publicity. It comes down for viewpoints. I mean, obviously, everything that we're seeing now, it's existed before. It's history repeating itself. Look at Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter is a spinoff of the Black Panthers in some aspect of it. I mean, everything has happened once before. You remember that term we used to use? Because I got to close it up here soon. You remember that term we used to use? Our grandfathers used to use it, right? If you don't know your history, you're condemned to repeat it, right? We're repeating our history.
We're repeating history. Yeah, exactly. The interesting thing is that we're a society, believe it or not, we're a society of tribalists, and we always want to be in a tribe. So you are from New York. Maybe are you a Jets fan or a Giants fan, or if you're even a football fan?
Oh God, I hate them both. I'm a Boston Red Sox. Yeah, I'm a Boston.
Okay, so then
Boston
fan. You're a fan of something, though, right? So everything breaks down. So I'm in St. Louis, so people assume I'm a Cardinals fan and I'm not a Cubs fan because our personalities, our the way of being human. We need to delineate ourselves from everybody else, and we bunch up.
Bob, I get it.
Bunch up.
You know where you're getting at with this, folks. Bob is getting on paper On paper, Bob should be this on paper. On paper, I should be a Jet fan. On paper, I should be a Giant fan. You get the concept, right? You get the memo. I'm from New York. I'm supposed to support those teams. Why am I supporting a team in another state? It's just, that's what I want to support.
Why are you supporting a team who gives you nothing and takes everything if you want to go see them?
Yeah, right. I mean, to be honest with you, do they care about my well-being?
They don't care about you.
I'm broke? No. All they care about is making millions of dollars. That's just
exactly. And that's what the Democrats do. That's what the Republicans do. That's what Putin does. That's the world. The world is basically an economic engine that all these things are goosing to get their, piece of the pie. And we're down here doing the same thing in a way, but we're not on that kind of mega end of it. We're on the mini end of it. You know what I mean? So, but everybody does it, and that's what runs it.
Yeah, that's what runs it. Bob, I'm going to close it up here with you, buddy. I had an interesting, almost 1 hour conversation with you. You're an interesting guy. I'm going to definitely check out some more of the Static Radio because I want to see more of it. I've heard a couple bits and pieces of it. I thought the song Manny the Mailman and Mike was kind of funny. I checked that out. Producer Mackenzie, she was laughing her ass off when she heard it. But yeah, it was pretty good stuff. For some of my listeners that tune in today on today's show, which is going to be aired on iHeartRadio, Spotify, all over the place, if they want to know more about you, where can they find you at, buddy?
So we are at staticradio.com, .net, .org. And then again, you can go the Apple Podcasts or Spotify or whatever, and it's not, I would say, we just on here, I talked a little bit more about some other interests with politics and conspiracies and things. On our show, it's mostly just humorous. I talk about, funny stuff that happens. Like this week was the first time I've ever used an airplane bathroom, even though I've flown for quite a long time, and it kind of had a humorous outcome. If you want to listen to silly stuff like that, you can listen to us at Static Radio.
Bob, what the hell's wrong with you? You never used an airplane bathroom before?
No. I've flown. I've been to Europe. I've been all across the country, and I never had to go to the bath. I purposefully, let me tell you this. So you get into idiosyncrasies and things whenever we go on the show, but I don't like to use the airplane bathroom, but I had to because, it just timed out that way. And it was a whole weird experience that I chronicled this last week. So
that Europe trip is a long trip, man. So what if you had to take a shit? I guess you'd have to wait and hold it.
Oh boy. Yeah. Believe me, I do never want to have to take a shit on a plane. I prepare for going someplace, and I do a lot of, if only I had this type of, motivation, I could probably, be a bodybuilder or something. But no, I prepare to go on a long trip so I don't have to go to the bathroom in these places. That's my preparation.
I hear you, Bob. Guys, you just heard the voice of radio personality Bob LeMent from his show, The Static Radio. You can check him out everywhere. Thank you very much, Bob, for being part of Savage Unfiltered Podcast. You have a good day, man.
Hey, thanks. Thanks for having me. Have a great day.
All right, buddy.